Hello and welcome back to my channel, Jordan Mind, Body, and Soul, where we learn to take care of ourselves, mind, body, and soul. And if you're new to this channel, then this channel is just about different ways we learn to take care of ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, whatever it is, so that we can lead our best lives. If that sounds good, then go ahead and subscribe. And if you are a returning subscriber or viewer, then thank you. I appreciate you so much. I really do, y'all. Y'all keep me going, and it would not be possible without you. So I'm going to jump right into it. What is peace to you? What is peace? Y'all know, if y'all been watching this channel, I am super like into learning about myself and learning about self-discovery and intuition and healing. I've always been that way. In fact, I had a conversation with one of my friends yesterday, and I was telling her something else another friend told me, where she was like, you've always been like very self-aware. She's like, you've always been into like what you think and how you feel and being positive while doing it and learning yourself. And I was thinking the other day, because I had an experience that led me to making this video. The other day, I literally was having such an amazing day. I started my morning with my stretching, because I do the 15-minute stretches for the February challenge. Check it out if you haven't already. So I did my 15-minute stretches, and then I was watching another video on YouTube. So I was watching someone who was speaking on like being positive and being motivated. And so I was just really just high on energy. Like I felt really excited and high on energy. And then I started doing my own personal gratitude affirmations. And for once in a very long time, because I feel like a lot of the time I tend to kind of think too much about the future or be too upset about the past. You know, I should have done this. Oh, I should have said this. So for once, I felt extremely present, and I felt extremely grateful, because in that ability to focus in on the moment, in that ability to be present, I realized that everything that I was worrying about, or everything that I was stressing about previously, or just in life in general, like, you know, you stress and worry about things, it was okay. And I felt peace. I felt very peaceful. And I felt calm and gratitude. And all those really important things that I think we think of feeling once we accomplish our life goals, or once we are walking in the path we want to walk in, or aligned with whatever it is we feel like we should be doing with our lives. I felt that same feeling that I would think I'd feel in that moment. So I spoke it. So I said it out loud. And the first thing I did was I told God, I'm like, God, thank you. Like, I'm grateful. Like, this is a really great moment. Like, this is a great day. I feel amazing. And then I didn't. And that's why they say, you know, you should be careful about what you say or what you speak into the atmosphere, and there's power in the tongue. But I was confused, because everything that I said and everything that I spoke was positive. But as soon as I said it out loud and I confirmed how I was feeling, different things started to happen that day. And without going into detail, by the end of the day, it was a terrible day. It was a horrible day. It was one of the worst days I've had in a very long time. So I felt really hurt. I felt upset. And especially as a person who tries to push positivity in my own life and for others, the only thing I could think is, how did I deserve this? Like, why would I be having such an amazing start to my day, and then all of a sudden it can change and it can turn like this? So after I have days like that, I have to kind of mourn the day, because in a sense, I guess I'm mourning the loss of what I thought that day would have been. But here's the catch. I decided to hold on to the moment and how it felt, and remember how it felt. And I asked myself, what interrupted that peace? And was it worth it? And the answer is no. It wasn't worth it. There's nothing that should interrupt peace when you truly feel it, when you're truly at it. But I also feel like in that moment, I was probably being tested. I was probably being tested to see if I am who I say I am, if I felt what I say I felt. Some people would probably look at the moment and be like, the devil was busy. You spoke it and he answered. And that's a perspective. That's a way to look at it too. But sometimes I look at things as exactly like I said earlier. Are you who you say you are? Are you feeling what you said you feel? So I decided to reflect on that day, and I did a lot of journaling and meditating and reflection to kind of figure out what happened. And I found out these things about peace that I want to share with you. So the first thing that I wanted to share with you that I feel like disrupted my peace, a day that should have been amazing, is boundaries. A lot of us, especially as moms or caregivers or people pleasers, or even if you're not a people pleaser, you're just a person that always wants to help someone. Like, I just want to help you. I just want to help you. A lot of times we struggle with boundaries. And if someone reaches out to us about anything, in our head, we think help. We think solve. Which in a perfect world would not be a bad thing. But the truth of the reality is that there are people who see that, and some see it and they take advantage of it on purpose. And there are some people who are not necessarily trying to take advantage of the situation, but they know that help or assistance is always there, and they don't know when to stop before they dry out the well. You get what I'm saying? So they may not necessarily have intentions to be draining or to deplete you of your sources, but they do. And I also learned that it's not necessarily up to you to determine which type of person it is, nor is it up to you to determine if that's their intentions or not. But it is up to you to set those boundaries. One thing that I think I can note, like all the way back to the beginning of my interactions with people, so friends, people outside of my household, I'll say, friends, and even up into dating, I noticed that a lot of times, if I did not have any friends, or did not select the friends that I had, or did not date the people that I dated or interacted with, my life for the most part would be very drama-free. It would definitely be without drama. I did not have a hard upbringing. I did not have a tough upbringing. My parents did the best that they could, and I'm super grateful for them. So all of my trauma and experiences and lack of peace comes from outside the household dynamic, as well as bleeding into friendships and dating lives or selections. And then again, it makes me circle back to the idea of peace and how a lot of times it wasn't anything other than me not placing boundaries in situations and me not saying, you know what, to guard this feeling, to guard this day, I'm not even going to go back and forth and figure out if you're lying or telling the truth. I don't care. All I know is that in this moment, I don't feel good anymore. I was feeling good. I was fine. I was great before I met you. I don't feel good anymore. And it's because of you. Boundary. You either got to go, or I have to control the way we interact. So limit it or cut it off. Another element that happened in this dynamic is realizing that you cannot control everything. You cannot. I'm the type of person who I'll show you here. I have a to-do list. And I've learned, if you've seen like a recent video on like protecting your space and your boundaries, I think that's what the video was. It's a recent one. But I've learned not to make my to-do list extensive, because then what happens is I get overwhelmed and then I react by doing less rather than picking certain things and allowing yourself to accomplish them one by one without having it be a long to-do list. So I try to make my to-do list as short as possible. But sometimes things happen that aren't on the to-do list that have to be handled. And they're things that I have no control over. Another dynamic that you'll see this in is if you're also a bonus parent, or if you just have a spouse or a partner or a family member that you live by or help, or just some type of interaction where someone else's schedule can cause change in yours, right? And when that happens, you just got to go with the flow. Like, you're like, okay, pick up, sometimes it's even with school. Certain things will happen and they'll be like, okay, this is school's closed this day, so now you got to go get your kids. Or you'll have an assignment and the teacher's like, hey, I changed the assignment, and you've already started working. Like, you're like, I started working ahead of time. They're like, instead of you actually having to do this or that amount of work, it's going to be less. And you're like, I already started. You can't control that. And when you release the need to control it, because in our sense, I think a lot of times when we want to control things, or when we want to be in charge, it's to save peace. It's so that later we can be like, oh, okay, that worked out how we want it. And it can cause us to be less worried, which is a peaceful state, right? But the way I felt peace the other day, y'all, was different. It was almost a spiritual experience, how peaceful I felt. And again, like I say, it was almost like a spiritual experience, how peaceful I felt. And then all the problems that exist here in this realm brought me back to reality this fast. Another element that I want you to think of when protecting your peace is don't assign your drama or other people's problems to you. And I said this before in a video. My best friend and I, we do it all the time. Now, we usually don't mind, because literally talking to her is like a therapy session for me. And talking to her is also like a, I'm not crazy, right? type of session. To where I say things and she's like, yeah, that happened. I understand that. I can relate. And I'm like, you understand? And she's like, yeah, I'm on the same page. But before you get to that, always check in with people to see how they're doing. And always check in with people to see if they have the capacity to hold water. And when I say hold water, like if you pour from an empty glass, hey, my cup is overfilling. Do you have some space? Right? And allow them the opportunity to say yes or no. But one thing that I also learned, even with her and people that I really love and I care about, is that I can't allow them. There's two things. The first thing is you can't assign people's problems and drama as your own. So when I have friends or family members and they used to call me about stuff, I used to get stressed out about their problem like it was mine. And that was draining because I had my own problems going on. And then I would be stressing about theirs. And then if I talked to them and they asked for advice or assistance on something, and then they did something other than what I advised, I'd be like, I've been stressing about this all night long and you did otherwise. And so don't do that. Don't do that. Here's the other part to it, right? So the first example is more so you taking on their problems. The other example would be don't let other people put you in their problems, put you in their situation. Like you see it a lot in high school. It's hard for me to think of an example in the spot, but like something happens and then someone would drag you into it and you're like, how did I get involved? And it's like you technically are connected to the problem because you may know information or you witnessed the situation, but you're like, this really doesn't have much to do with me. Like, you literally just dragged me in the room. Protect your space. And that's gonna merge with the boundaries. But sometimes we have to interact with people, right? Sometimes we have to be around certain people, but those boundaries have to be clear. It goes back to the boundaries. Those boundaries have to be clear. Your peace is the most important thing that you have. One of the most important things. I'll always say this example too. When I went to the Dominican Republic, I remember this family that I saw in passing. I think we were on our way to ride the ATVs or something. And based off American standards, you would look at them and you would be like, they live a tough life, they're poor. That's how people would look at them. But they were happy. And they had peace. From the outside looking in. I don't know them. I don't know their situation. Didn't get to talk to them. We were literally just driving past. But peace. I seen another video today. I think it was in the Philippines. I think that's where they were. Or was it Thailand? I think it was the Philippines. But wherever they were, again, structurally, the area that the people lived in, you would look at it based off of American standards and you would say, they're poor. But they're smiling in their videos. They're laughing. They don't have the stress of what we carry, right? In terms of comparing lifestyles. But that's just another example of the presence of the right people, the presence of your boundaries, the presence of accepting the now and the moment will bring you peace. Our peace reflects what we allow. At the end of the day, one thing that I have to admit that is kind of hard for me to admit, but it's the truth, is that regardless of what happened to make my day turn from amazing, almost a spiritual-like experience to one of the worst days I've had, is what I allowed. I take full responsibility. And it's not just the things that I allowed in that moment, but people also learn. You teach people how to treat you. And if you notice, you'll see patterns, right? So if you see someone who, let's say every time they see you, they bring a gift. Every time they come to your house, they bring a bottle of wine. They bring some cookies that they baked. They always bring something, right? And you're thankful. And you're like, oh, that's so nice. Every time you come here, you always have something. And then so you're like, you know what? I'm going to start bringing them stuff too. Either when I go to their house or I'm going to have something for them when they come here, like whatever it is. And whether they meant to or not, they conditioned you to treat them a certain way, right? They conditioned you to have certain expectations for them. And if they stopped, you'd be like, are you okay? What happened? Why was this change? You know? So have that same respect for yourself and have that same responsibility for yourself, for you to protect your peace, for you to protect your happiness, because it doesn't matter how good or how great you're feeling. If somebody else wants to come and shift up your storm, they can. And they absolutely will if you allow them. So find joy. Find joy in your mind, your body, and your soul. Peace.